Good evening. I'm Dr. Latronda Harris. I am a political consultant and government relations director for matters in this community that faces the people of Texas as well as those here in District 2. I have been asked to come to guide the conversation about the implementation and the possible vacating of the office of the San Antonio City Council District 2 position that is currently held by Jada Andrews-Sullivan. At this point, the Black media has asked me to guide this conversation because the Secretary of State gives us provision in its rules for vacating an office at 120 days or less. We want to be sure that the District 2 members of our community are heard in this process. We want to be sure that the process, which may cause some divisiveness in our community, is taken with the opportunity to do this in a manner which the community may have a voice. The community has chosen a leader. At this point, the community has said they have lost confidence in the leader that was chosen. Should this office be vacated through a recall, then we want the opportunity in this community to put who we choose in that seat. We would like to avoid the appointment of a position in that seat should that seat become vacated. That is the voice of the community. That is the concern of the community. And that is what we're here to discuss today. There is indeed a process that the Secretary of State has put forth. We have also contacted the City of San Antonio's the City of San Antonio's clerk to make sure that we adhere to all rules in vacating and then recalling and then vacating the position. We want to be sure in that process that any petition that is to be circulated in this community is done according to the rules of the City of San Antonio, and that those rules are also being vetted by our community, by our own signatures. So with that, the Black media has called this meeting today. We're asking that the voice of this community be heard. We're asking that the processes be carefully followed, and that we will make sure that those petitions that should be circulated are signed, verified, and certified in the manner that is allocated to us through law. At this time, I'd like to bring up Christopher Herring, who is a writer on staff with The Observer, one of the Black media that is presented here today, to further explain the position of Black media at this time. Chris?
I'm Christopher Herring. I'm the chairman of the editorial board for the San Antonio Observer newspaper. This day we are gathered as a unified group of publishers of Black media, simply to facilitate what our citizens are asking, which is to make our citizens to be able to have their vote count and their wishes to be heard. We know that the process that Dr. Darnell Harris has just raised is one that can be very complicated and complex. But when we think about the spirit of the law gives the citizens a chance to make a change if it is necessary. And up to 120 days, the citizens of this community have the chance to have a voice that enables their vote to count. And if there's a lack of confidence, as was expressed earlier, that lack of confidence will emerge itself through a signed petition that at least 10% of those who voted will be able to sign and say, we need to make a change. If that 10,000 signatures or 10% is not achieved, then it's obvious that there is no need for a change. The mayor and the city council will have to work with the citizens at this time based off of this loss of confidence. And we have the confidence of the mayor and of the council to do what's right, to follow the letter of the law as outlined by the Texas State Secretary. We know that in good faith that we can work through all issues. We know as a black media that there are a number of storylines that keep coming to our attention that still have not been actually talked about in an open and honest and transparent way. And so one thing is that we know that we want to be able to tell our own story with our own narratives, with our own voice. We saw some hints in the previous election that the black media did not have the true opportunity to have its voice as being the center of the bullseye. But we won't make that mistake again. We know that our community believes in the black voice, the black media, the black press, and based off of this platform that we have, we want to make sure that all of us are working together, and that's why we all came together. So you will be hearing more about this process through radio, through print media, through video, and we want to make sure that everything that is said, everything that is done in our respective medias, we are credited for. So just a word to those who are in the mainstream press, if you use any of the content that's associated with this press conference and you don't attribute it, know that you're going to have calls that will come in to your office, because we know that this has been the storyline. This has been what's happened over the centuries. What we say matters when you say it, but you need to attribute and give credit to where credit is due. The Observer actually had a whole storyline that was built around the elections, and some of these stories that now have started to surface are some of the stories that were written much earlier. And so now it's time to, again, resurface those things and give a true opportunity for the citizens to make a voice and to be heard. It's unfortunate that, we've already seen some headlines associated with the lack of payment of people who worked on the campaign team of the Councilwoman. But if you go back to the Observer, you'll see that we had various articles that talked about bad checks that were written in her personal history. And maybe they were resolved, maybe they weren't resolved. The fact is that now the Councilwoman is not just dealing with her own money, but she's dealing with millions of dollars of taxpayer dollars. And the lack of confidence that may be expressed may be simply because if you can't demonstrate it at home, how can you demonstrate it in the city, the 7th largest city in the United States of America? And so we said earlier too that experience matters, and so now we're seeing that experience does matter. And so I'm going to now turn the microphone over to Laura Thompson from TAAN Tv, who will provide her own message. But again, from the San Antonio Observer, we'd just like to say thank you for your attention to this matter. Again, let the petition serve to be able to provide to the city of San Antonio what says the people. The people still have this opportunity and time to have their voices heard and to ask for a new council person if that's their desire. And again, we think and we know that the Secretary of State has been very supportive of us in this matter, and that we look forward to the process that will actually be very organized, very orderly, and will not be slanderous, or it won't be anything that is not true. We're going to deal with the facts. And that's what matters right now. People want the facts to be heard. So Laura? At this time, we'll have Nika from Tha1 Radio.
I'm sorry, Lord, give me a second. but I wanted to piggyback because I wanted to make sure that everybody who is tuned into this right now really understands what it's about. And again, this is about the process, a process that's already started, headlines that have already came out, things that are already in motion that are gonna happen. And a lot of times what happens is the actual community is blinded by the actual facts. And then when we're told the facts, it's too late for us to actually do something. So instead of being reactive, we're here to be proactive. And we went and we talked to the Secretary of State and said, what is it that we can do to keep the voice in the people's hands? And this is what they told us. You need to go and get a petition. You need to go and ask for the permission from the mayor and things like that. So these are the steps that we are taking. Again, it is not anybody's personal issues. It's not anybody's anything. Our job is to make sure that we keep a voice in our community, that we keep a position on our council, that that our faces are still being shown when decisions are being made. And so we have to do that the proper way. And we're here to be proactive to do that and not reactive. So in other words, we have 120 days to get active and make sure that whoever we've already voted for stays in the position, whether that's the number 1 person or that's the number 2 person. That's what this is for, because we need to know the process. And those are the things that we're going to talk to you more about, is the process of what we have to get done and the things and the time period that we need to get it done and the complete community effort that we need to go in so we can keep our voice. So it's not about one particular person. This is not about a particular candidate or anything like this. Is about keeping our community voice and not letting somebody else say, hey, we're just going to put them in for you. We've already been there. We've already done that. Let's be proactive with this.
Very nice.
Good afternoon. I'm Laura Thompson. I am the creator and general manager of TAAN Tv, the African American Network. I think a lot has been said today, but I just wanted to let everybody know the position of the collaborative effort of all of the African American media that's assembled here today. Our job as media outlets is to ensure that we present you with the facts and the information necessary for you to make proper decisions so that our community can continue to have a voice. And the voice is going to be from our perspective, and it's going to benefit the people in the community that are going to be affected by some decisions that could be made within the next 120 days. So, thank you. Okay, and so the next voice you'll hear is Douglas Heath from KROV.
Good afternoon, everyone. A lot has already been said, so I'm not going to come up and be redundant. I want to let you know that KROV is committed to making sure that the voice of the community is heard. Too often in the past, when these situations have arisen, the city council and the mayor have taken it upon themselves to insert a replacement for the vacated position without consulting the constituents. And we want to make sure that that doesn't happen this time. We want to make sure that the people who vote in the city are represented adequately. We all know that when there's a loss of confidence of a member of the city council, that people in that district suffer. And people in District 2 have suffered enough. And so what we're going to do at KROV, we're going to make sure that, because as you know, we have our daily talk from 12 to 1, we're going to make sure that we interview citizens, people that are involved, make sure that everyone's voice gets heard, that this process is done and administered in the proper way, and that's what we're all here about. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
The next person who we asked to come to talk is not a person of the black media, but someone who actually had a letter that went to one of the major news outlets, the Express News. And we know that the Express News has boards in which they conduct to vet candidates. And oftentimes those opinions of the editors then become a very powerful endorsement that circulates citywide. Some people agree with the endorsements and some don't. But I think that it's important today, the Observer believed it was very important to allow Mr. Martinez, Dan Martinez, to talk about the letter that he wrote to the editorial board of the Express News that really personifies and signifies the realness to keeping your voice and the integrity of your voice. And so that's going to come from a community leader who has been around the block, who has led countless number of nonprofit organizations, and who I had the pleasure of serving with on a drug task force here in District 2, Mr. Dan Martinez.
Well, thank you very much, Chris, for the opportunity and the people from our community. I think we're all speaking out for things that are not right, and that's what we should do. As I said, doing the right thing is very important. And the way things have been going for our district and the city itself, they're not doing things for the right reasons to benefit the citizens of San Antonio. They're doing it to benefit the investors, developers, you name it, people with money, they do abatements so much, and we, the taxpayers, have to carry the burden. My message to the editorial board is stop your endorsements. Let the people vote from the districts who know the issues and not the editorial board, who have their own special interests that they answer to. That's very important because we have this outside group, 4 individuals that think they know better than the voters themselves in District 2. And they don't. They are not superior to our voters in District 2. So I say to the editorial board, and I wrote them a letter and made it very detailed as far as I wanted to get their attention, to let them know that they need to stop endorsing candidates. In a business, you do not divide your customers by choosing to go with a group of your clients on the one side, and you disregard the clients on the other side. You know, this is what they've been doing, and they're in trouble for it. They don't seem to have the sense, the common sense, to know that if you endorse one candidate, you're going to have all of the other candidate supporters canceling their subscriptions. And I mean, common sense will tell any business entity that this is not what you're supposed to be doing. Let the voters decide on their own. They know their own issues in each and every district. So stay out of district politics, period. So that's the message that I conveyed to them, and hopefully perhaps they'll listen to somebody that is active in the community. And I'm going to be 80 in a couple of weeks, and I'm not slowing down one bit. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Martinez, and thank you, Black Media. So to finish this, press conference, what we want to do is to be sure that we inform the reader, the community, on exactly how we plan to implement the recall and the vacancy. The subsequent vacancy from a recall will allow us to have an opportunity, once again, to bring to the city certified votes or certified signatures from voters in this community. That is a powerful position for us to be in. We lose power after that 120th day. We are well into this election, well past 30 days. The actual recall process, the petition will circulate for about 20 days. That is the rule. Before and after that, we have to get some certifications from the mayor and the city council. So we want to make sure that we use our time wisely, that we fully inform the community on how this process goes, the status of the process. This media has committed to post where we are on the status of the process. They have committed to inform its readers within its community that have their trust to say we have so many votes that have been certified by the voter's ID number or whichever matching component of the signature we need. So these 20 days of circulating this, this recall petition will not only state why we are seeking for recall of this particular seat, but it will also give you instructions on how you may become a part of the process. So therefore, this media, these media outlets have committed to print, post, and circulate information about how this process goes. We have a few things that must be on that petition. One is why. A loss of confidence can encompass many reasons. Some of the calls that this media has gotten include issues of character, issues of fiscal responsibility, issues of character of the staff chosen by this particular leader, issues of moral turpitude, issues of financial responsibility personally, as well as with the tax dollars of this community at large. Therefore, in that petition for recall, we will state broadly that there is a loss of confidence that the community has expressed. We will list those issues, and over the course of these next 20 days, to inform this community, these media outlets are committed to list factual reporting of what we mean when we say a lack of fiduciary responsibility. What do we mean when we talk about a lack of character or character issues? So we want to be sure to be very clear, very transparent about what we're doing. This has really more to do with the processes that we want each and every member of this community to be informed about. So with that, we can tell you at the next meeting of the City of San Antonio City Council, we will formally present a request to the city clerk and through the city clerk to the city council for an opportunity to receive a certified petition that may be circulated within this community. With that, we will be able to start this process, and if this process allows us to vacate this office within those first 120 days that are listed in the Secretary of State's rules, then we might, as the community, have the opportunity to have a voice as to who will then replace the person who now sits in this seat, and that person should be someone who has been vetted, someone who has been voted for by people in this community. So with that, we plan to move forward with this, not in haste, but in careful consideration of the outcomes of this request to vacate this office. Should we, as a community, miss this opportunity, we will certainly be told, not advised, but told who will sit in that seat. So therefore, I urge you to continue to tune in to these media outlets so that they can direct you to how you can be a part of this process, and so that we may hear the voice of everyone in this community. We thank you for your listening in today. We thank you for your voice being heard in this community, and we thank you for the opportunity to just bring this issue to the community prior to other actions. We want to be proactive and not reactive, and today we have started that process. Thank you very much. Thank you for joining us.